Hello, dear fans, friends, and subscribers. Welcome to your Cricket Happening show with your host Ram on YouTube today. And as far as today's match was concerned, New Zealand versus South Africa, a very important match. But definitely, New Zealand have not done anything good here because they have lost by a massive margin of 190 runs. Now, this is not something that one would have not expected from New Zealand, because New Zealand, we know what a quality team they are, we know what form they are into, and to lose by 190 runs really says something that there is, something has not gone really right with New Zealand in this particular match. So let's have a look. Like South Africa, as usual, they just, they have made it a habit of scoring 350 runs and above, and that is coming absolutely easy to them. And today they totted up 357 for 4, batting first. Now, and New Zealand, if you look at it, the other day we saw how they chased against England, how they chased against the Aussies, which was a humdinger, and to lose by 190 runs really is a question mark. And besides, yes, Kane Williamson is still not playing, which is definitely a big blow. And their next match against Pakistan will hold great significance. And the reason that I say that is because the Pakistan they are still in the 5th position. But what has happened is New Zealand have dropped their run rate right now. Yes, they are in the positive side. Pakistan are on the negative side. But if you look at the points, yes, New Zealand but Pakistan will definitely have to rely on some results. It's not going to be easy for them. Probably they have to beat New Zealand by a particular margin. If I'm not wrong, it's 80 runs, as I heard. As I said, now if you look at the points table, the South Africans have once again gone ahead of India. Even though both are locked on 12 points, what has happened is South Africa's run rate is superior than India. Well, India still has one match to go. India is taking on Sri Lanka tomorrow. So that should be a wonderful game. And probably that particular match will probably set the scene for India, that they would steer, if they win that match, they would steer clear of everybody. And probably one would be safe to say that host India would be reaching the finals, for the semi-finals. Sorry. Okay, so let's have a look at this match which was played in Pune today. Looking at first, let's look at the toss. As far as the toss was concerned, it was won by New Zealand. Now, to me, the history says, and not history, basically we have seen that South Africa, when they are chasing, they are not good chasers. They're good setters, but they're not good chasers. But not that I wouldn't discount it. I wouldn't say that they are not at all good chasers, but definitely setting scores is something which is their forte, that we have seen in this World Cup. So I was just wondering as to why the New Zealand captain, who has captained the side so far very well in the absence of Kane Williamson, what was the reason he took a decision to insert South African first after getting the rub of the green? And also on this particular pitch, well, it was a decent pitch. There was just a bit of seam movement probably early on, a bit of nipping, but when the lights are there, it was pretty easy to play your strokes. And New Zealand, I think, badly faltered there. So let's have a look at the South African batting. The South African batting, losing captain Temba Bavuma of 24 of 28. Trent Bolt was really doing very well as far as the ball is. Today we had the first look at Tim Southee, who came, but definitely didn't make much of an impression because he looked a bit rusty. 10 overs, no maiden, 2 for 77 his returns. Bolt, 10 overs, 1 maiden, 1 for 49. I thought was the best. 5.3 overs, none for 31 for Mate Henry, unfortunately injured. Mitchell Sant and New Zealand, let me tell you, they are facing injury problems. Matt Henry is already facing injury problems. Matt Henry is out, I'm told, I suppose, in the next game, I suppose. Kane Williamson is still fighting. And then Jimmy Neesham is also in trouble. So that's not good news for New Zealand, according to me. Santner 10 overs, none for 58, 7 overs for 52 for Glenn Phillips. So Phillips today, normally we have seen that Phillips has bowled economically, but today it was not to be. South Africans really took him along. 2 overs, none for 17, Rachin Ravindra and Nisham travelled to the distance of 69 runs of 5.3 overs with just one wicket to show besides his name. Looking at the South African card, Quinton de Kock, and after that, after 38 for 1, when the first wicket fell, after that, there was a huge partnership of 200 runs exactly. But one definitely thought that what was happening to South Africa, because 200 runs probably one would have expected with Quinton de Kock also scoring a century or scoring his fourth century of the World Cup, and Rassie van der Dussen going on to make 133. One would have expected the South Africans to probably have accelerated, but then in that case, the credit goes to the New Zealand bowling. The New Zealand bowling was sharp, and South Africans could not pick up the pace. So credit to the New Zealand bowlers on that score. But they rattled along very well in the death overs, raking 119 runs of the final 10 overs, which was well done. And that's the precise reason the South Africans, with probably one had a bit of a doubt at the score of 200, but with wickets to still with a lot of players to come, they definitely did justice in the final bend with 357 for 4. So good effort from South Africa. And Quinton de Kock make 114 of 106. And Quinton de Kock's knock today, I wouldn't say it was a very convincing knock. He was a bit lucky as well. He was dropped twice. And besides, he looked a bit scratchy at the crease. And it took some while for him to really find his touch. So, but nevertheless, he still got his fourth century. So he's been blazing a trail in this World Cup, Quinton de Kock. He's just one away from the record of the World Cup, which is held by none other than the host Indian team's captain, Rohit Sharma, who has 5 centuries in the World Cup. And definitely it is under threat now in this World Cup of being broken by Quinton de Kock. Quinton de Kock, 114 of 116, 10 fours and 3 sixes, combining into a beautiful partnership with Rassie van der Dussen to really chisel together a very good partnership. 133 from Rassie van der Dussen, played some lovely drives down the wicket. And he's also a very good timer of the ball, hits the ball straight very well, lofts it very well. And he contributed 133 of 118 deliveries, which included 9 fours and 5 sixes. David Miller came in and caned 53 of 30, 2 fours and 4 sixes. And that was pretty much the story for South Africa. And South Africa would have been, and Aiden Markram finished it off with a 6 into the fence. So that really helped matters, and South Africa is 357. Now, looking at New Zealand, one would have definitely expected after their chases that they did, one would have expected a much better fight from New Zealand, probably going the distance, and at least even if they didn't win, they could have still bettered their run rate much more and really gone very close to South African total. But unfortunately, it was not to be. So if you look at the so here we will definitely go to the South African bowling first, because South African bowling is the one which was the ace. And Marco Hansen, he is someone who has the highest number of wickets in the power play. And I believe he has 12 wickets. And he has made it a habit for South Africa. I think one thing to note for South Africa is that Marco Hansen actually giving them an early breakthrough. And that has become very common. And today he picked up the wicket of Devon Conway. Very good catch taken by Markram. Devon Conway was out for 2. Will Young, again, I thought he's been, he's again been pretty fallible when it comes to a ball outside his the offline corridor. And he was caught by de Kock on the bowling of Kwedzi for 33 of 37, 5 boundaries. Rachin Ravindra, you can't expect this young bloke, but in the very short stay at the crease, the boundary that he hit from the offside was talking about his talent in a great manner. But unfortunately for Rachin Ravindra, he tried to hook a delivery from Marco Hansen, and Kwedzi picked up the catch. And definitely, it was not good news for New Zealand. They started losing wickets at regular intervals. Mitchell was there, definitely a big hope. But when Mitchell fell after making only 24 to the bowling of Keshav Maharaj, because the run rate was something that they had to keep an eye on. So Darren Mitchell definitely chanced his arm, but it ended up with very good catch taken by Miller, a wonderful catch taken by Miller at the fence of the bowling of Keshav Maharaj, who was the best bowler today, and and it was good to see. I mean, normally don't see the bowler actually watching the flight of the ball when it is probably going into the air for a six or for going into the fielder's hands. And but Keshav Maharaj, once he bowled, he kept his eyes completely on the ball, which was a sort of a very unusual sight in cricket. I've never seen a bowler actually watching the flight of the ball to see whether the catcher is taking it. And this was very nicely captured by the camera as well. When we saw that, when the ball went into the stratosphere, I thought Miller did a wonderful dive. A few meters from the boundary, he snapped it up. And Daryl Mitchell, a big fish, was gone, because how he can really nurture New Zealand to victory. 24 of 30 deliveries, 4 fours, and that was a big wicket for South Africa. After that, well, Rabada came in and had the better of Tom Latham for 4, the captain gone. Glenn Phillips was still one hope. That he was the sole hope, because he's the one who can really turn it on. But again, after that, it was just just crumbling, I would say, because there was nothing that the New Zealanders could do. Phillips was the only sole man surviving, and probably was under definitely instructions. He was probably relayed the information that New Zealand need to really up their run rate. If at all, they need to stay ahead of Pakistan. And that's what they precisely did. And then Glenn Phillips contributed 60 or 50 deliveries, 4 fours and 4 sixes. Other than that, there's nothing to really talk about. 167 all out, a massive win for New Zealand, for South Africa by 190 runs. And, definitely, at least they went ahead of Pakistan. But Pakistan will definitely feel a bit comfortable now because they would be taking on New Zealand on Saturday. And looking at the bowling, Marco Hanson, 8 overs, 1 maiden, 1 for 31, 3 for 31, did a fantastic job. Lungi Giri, on the money, 6 overs, 1 maiden, none for 28. Kagiso Rabada, with all his experience, nipped up the wickets, nipped up only 1 wicket, but look at his spell. 6 overs, 2 maidens, 1 for 16. Quedzi, well, he's someone who has been a revelation for South Africa. Every time he comes in, he has great passion for the game. He's always pumped up, and he comes here and nips 2 wickets. Every time, you always see his wicket bag. It is definitely, it is not wicketless. It is always with wickets, and that's what he did. 6.3 overs, no maiden, 2 for 41. And Keshav Maharaj, the best bowler on the show, 9 overs, no maiden, 4 for 46. And that was the end of the match in Pune. And definitely, South Africa, as I said, are on the top of the pile now with a superior run rate than India. Well, folks, tomorrow, a very important game coming up. India taking on Sri Lanka. A very important game, as I said, because this will determine if India beat Sri Lanka and they go to 14 points, and with only 2 games to go, India can safely say that they have reached the semi-finals, being the host. So that is going to be very interesting. But again, I think we'll have to wait. Let's hope. Let's wait and see what really happens there. India definitely still without the services of Hardik Pandya. It's a big, big issue, and especially when we are playing South Africa with Hardik Pandya not being there. And Hardik Pandya fan club members, you have been with me on Twitter yesterday, so thank you very much for joining me on Twitter, Hardik Pandya fan club. And Hardik Pandya fan club, well, I have to say, Hardik Pandya is the big miss. He's just a key all-rounder for India, and not having him in the midst. And as I said, he has already been ruled out for South Africa. So I don't think he will play against Netherlands, because India would like to keep him absolutely fresh for the semi-finals when India reaches the semi-finals. Well, having said that, that really winds up this cricket show for today, with more to come tomorrow between India and Sri Lanka. Till such time, it's goodbye.